Hello and welcome to another podcast, vlog, video. This is my little Knit365 podcast, my little bit of YouTube where I get to talk to you and share my adventures in knitting and crochet. So today is Saturday the 5th of September and I'm recording my August roundup. It's only been 3 weeks-ish since I did my last video, which was my July roundup, but that I was a bit late filming that one. So we've got 3 weeks of progress to share with you. I've got a finished object, only one though. We'll talk about that in a bit. And some new projects, obviously, that I've started, and just the general, usual crafty discussions, sharing my plans and my works in progress. So without further ado, let's jump straight in. So if you are a returning viewer, thank you very much for coming back. I really enjoy chatting to you in the comments below, chatting to some people on Instagram and Twitter. So please feel free to drop me a message across any of those platforms, channels. It's always great to talk to you and understand more about what you're working on. And if you're a new viewer, we've had a couple of new subscribers in the last few weeks. So hello and welcome. I hope you like what you see, and thank you for giving me a little tryout. So let's just jump straight in. Starting off, I have 14 works in progress on the go at the moment, which is up 1 from last month. I only had 13 works in progress. And I know what you're telling me. If you've listened to previous videos or watched previous videos, you know they're meant to be going down, not up. But what can I say? I said before, I like planning new projects. I like starting things, and I probably enjoy starting and researching things more than I do finishing them. But without further ado, let's go straight on to finished objects. So, as I said, I have one finished object to share with you this month. Absolutely not as productive as previous months, but I have finished my socks. When I say my socks, they're Mark socks. So these are the Bob socks by Louise Tilbrook, and they're made in West Yorkshire Spinners sock yarn in the Goldfinch colourway. They need to be washed, but they're on the little sock blockers because it's easier to show you, I think, and you can see the pattern. So if I just do a little zoom in, you can see there's this lovely little texture here. So this is just a normal sock knitting around, and this little texture here is you have a little twisted rib panel. So you kind of need to concentrate a little bit. It is easy TV knitting. I put a little stitch marker to make sure that I knew where I needed to start the pattern, but you do have to, you can't just sit there and knit mindlessly in a round. You've got to kind of switch up the pattern every now and then. But they are great. They fit Mark perfectly. And I'll put a little video on screen, or a little photo on screen now, which is Mark wearing them. So they are going to be perfect for the winter. He's really pleased with the colorway. I'm really pleased with them. My biggest success with these is that they're pattern matched. So often in socks, you find that you have siblings, not twins, because they kind of look different, and they're pretty much even. The heels are both, how am I doing that in the camera? The heels are both yellow and end in red. The toes both end white and grey. So I'm really, really chuffed because this is the first pair of socks I've made that they are pretty much pattern matched. The only thing that really annoys me is I did the first sock, and after I picked for the heel, after I turned the heel, sorry, I picked back up for the gusset, and here you can see I've got this little red line here which comes from the heel, because you finish here, you pick back up for the gusset, and then you come down the length of the sock. This bit here is 1 row of red stitches. This one here, 2 rows of red stitches. And you know what? It's only a tiny thing, which means my pattern matching, I'm 1 row of stitches out. But you know what? It's only the little things, isn't it, that really wind you up? But anyway, you know, I can live with it. It's fine. We'll let it go. We'll try and be better for the next pair of socks. But there we go. So 1 finished object. Okay, so me again. I'm just popping along very quickly. I'm editing the video together and realised with the socks I forgot something. So I just wanted to quickly mention and thank Angela from Yarn and Yarns for the inspiration behind dusting my socks off. So those socks I actually started back in January 2018. Kind of fell out of love with socks. They sat in deep storage for many a month. And then Angela, who runs Yarn and Yarns, decided to do a Summer of Socks knit along. So Angela's got her own YouTube channel, some great videos, and I saw that, had the encouragement to get my socks out and get them finished. So I just wanted to mention Angela, because actually it would be very remiss of me, because I finished those socks. It's my only finished object for this month. But if it wasn't for Angela and the knit along, I wouldn't have done it. Because let's be frank, what knitter doesn't need an incentive to finish a project other than winning wool? So all the completed socks throughout August and into September will be entered into a competition to win some more wool. And that will be great. And if I don't win, I finish my socks. So I'd made all my little notes in my book and I was ticking them all off. And as you will see later on, the book makes an appearance to make sure I don't miss anything. And I missed this. So I just thought I would do a very quick update that I can insert into the footage. So back to the video. It's been a bit of a funny month. We've had the heat wave here in the UK, way too hot for any form of crafting. So I lost a few days. So, you know, the whole premise of this podcast, I need to kind of work out what I'm going to call this, aren't I? But the whole point of this is it's called Knit365. It's about my plans in knitting and crafting and how I hope to do a little bit every day to make sure that by the time I get to the end of the year, I've got some great projects that I can look back on. But August, sadly, with the heat wave, we didn't knit every day in August. So there we go. But what are we going to do? That's the great British weather for us. The sun's gone now. It's coming into autumn. I think technically we are in autumn now. 1st of September, I think, is meteorological autumn. So yeah, pumpkin spice lattes, scarves, gloves, woolly jumpers, my favourite time of the year. So I'm really happy that September is coming around. And I guess then moving on to works in progress, the other things that I did work on mainly during August. So you will have seen my Rory cardigan that I talked about in previous episodes. So I left that in as a bad edit. We're going to go straight back into the Rory cardigan. But my brother rang me as I was in the middle of filming, and stupid me forgot to put my phone into airplane mode so that people can't ring me and disrupt my filming. So I've done that now. So back to it. So that's the Rory cardigan. And when I showed it to you last month, I had just finished the sleeves and the fronts, and I just cast on the back. So it was literally just about 2 rows of ribbon. So I've done quite a lot. If I take a step back, it's a lot of knitting. It's very boring. It's just bog standard stocking stitch. It is a 5mm, it's a 5mm hook. Sit back down. So it's easy, it grows quickly, and it's a very easy pattern because obviously it is just back and forth. I've got about an inch to go, and then I'm going to start the shaping. So I'm hoping that I'm going to get this finished in September, and this will be a project that I'll continue to work on throughout the month. And now when I finish the back, it is just a case of sewing it up. You know, we need to put the sleeves in, and then I need to cast on for the button bands, and it's got a sort of a roll neck collar. So there's still more knitting to do, but I'm hoping that I can get that done throughout September, and that will be great to have that ticked off the list. And it's a project for me. I've done lots of knitting this year for other people, so it'll be really great to get that finished. But in a way, I'm kind of saying, you know, I'm still doing my Rory cardigan, but it's a lot of knitting. So I'm kind of quite pleased that I've done that. So that's the pattern. This is living in this gigantic project bag by the little grey girl. I've raved about Gemma's project bags in previous episodes. This has got the rest of the wool in, the fronts, the sleeves, the back lives in here too. They're really great size. This is the extra large size. So I'm hoping that I'm going to finish working on that in September. So hopefully there'll be another finished object to share with you in next month's roundup video. So that's the Rory cardigan. And then I've got 2 new cast-ons. One of them I did mention last month is the Herbivore shawl by Stephen West. I'll pop a picture on screen. And this is knit in Ted Knits, is a great indie dyer that I met at the Unraveled Knitting Show back in February. And this is the Rusty Birch colorway. It's a merino nylon blend. This project is living in this great, oh, matches my t-shirt, great sort of honeycomb. I love a grello, not too dissimilar to the colors of the wool, so I thought this was a great project bag. Oh, and it's a little grey girl, leather brand, bag. So this is the Herbivore shawl, and I'm not making too bad progress. I haven't worked on it for about a week and a half. I've had a bad finger. We'll come on to that at the end of the video. But this is the pattern. So this is the center section. And we have this central panel that is a sort of a twisted rib that just grows out of the center. We have a plain stocking stitch side, and then the very wingtips now are mirroring the same center panel, so growing out of this central spine. So part A of the pattern was effectively kind of bringing us up to about here and just creating the center panel, and then part B brings us on to do the wings. So the kind of the shape of it now, almost like, oh, it's almost like the Millennium Falcon, which again we'll come on to in a minute, Star Wars themed. And it basically, it stays like this now until this central spine measures about 20 inches, I think it is. I didn't measure it before I started, and I don't have a tape measure, so I won't do that. But yeah, I love it. And the wool it's such a great color. It's blown out slightly because of the light. It's a perfect sort of gray color with these rusty flecks. I love it on this stocking stitch panel, and I really like it on the ribbed panel as well. So yeah, I said I was going to cast this on. I wanted to do a shawl. I've got 4 or 5 shawls in my queue that I'm wanting to cast on. I've got the wool for, but this was the oldest one. This was the wool I bought back in February. So I thought, no, I'm going to cast them on in chronological order for when I bought the wool. Very good. So yeah, so I haven't worked on this one for a couple of weeks, but I hope to put some more time in on this one during September, even if I can just every couple of days. The pattern repeat is 4 rows. So even if just every couple of days I can put on a 4-row repeat, it'll be finished in no time. The only downside, of course, is it's growing every time you work on it. So every row, this section grows by 2 stitches, then this section grows by 2 stitches, and this section grows by 2 stitches. So it's, you know, more stitches to knit on. Yeah, so love it. So this is my Herbivore shawl. Oh no, yeah, that's right. So that's the top. So we've got a flat top. It starts on, it's called a garter tab cast on. So it just kind of grows out of nowhere. I don't know if the camera will pick up the central bit. So there you can see is where I cast on, that's my tail. But effectively you kind of knit this central panel of 6 stitches here, and then the rest of it just grows out of the top. So you can't really see where you've cast on the pattern, it just starts. It's very clever. Stephen West pattern. We know I love Stephen's patterns. Very clever guy. I wouldn't be able to do it. So I'll just sit and knit it. So there's my Herbivore shawl, and I'm really looking forward to doing some more on that in September. And then my next new cast on is actually a crochet project. And I'm not going to cover this too much because I'm doing a separate project-based vlog about this. But this is the Boho blanket that I showed last month in my stash top-up section. So I said that I'd bought this. This is a kit that I bought from Ammonite Yarns, and this is going to be a Christmas gift for Mark's mum. So I have started this. There's a lot of new to me techniques in the blanket. So I had a crochet lesson with the lovely Gail from Gail in Wales Crochet. I'll pop a link below to her Facebook page. Gail is the designer of the sandrine shawls that I've made, that I've shown off in previous videos. But I've made good progress so far. I wanted to show you this. I was very pleased. If I look at the back of the pattern, and I won't show you the pattern, of course, but they give you a little key. And I am going to criticize the pattern slightly because those colors really don't have any resemblance. Like the difference in those colors that's shown on the camera, it's very subtle. And you'll see the difference in the colors now is it's quite marked. None of the colors look similar. So I ignored the pattern and I made a swatch chart. I love this. So I got a little bit of cardboard and I wrote down the contrast color 1, and that's called Zing, contrast color 2 called Heather, so on and so forth. So when I get to the pattern, I know that I'm looking for C3. Well, C3 is fuchsia. And again, fuchsia doesn't look like anything on the color key. So I don't know if that might help anyone else, but I thought that was a really clever little tip. I say clever, I saw it on someone's video, so I absolutely didn't make it up myself, but I can't remember where I saw it to give that person credit. So if it's a video of yours that you've done it and you happen to be watching me, thank you very much for your tip. So I've got my little swatch card, and then here we go. So I finished section A, which is the color work section. So this is basically, it's a granny stripe blanket. It would actually go up this way. So it's a granny stripe blanket, and it's just stranded color work. So you can see where we've got the lovely diamond shape into this sort of pinky, purpley, floral section here. I guess they're flowers. And then into this sort of deep red, and these crosses, and then into the heather, sort of the contrast. So it's 160 chains, so it's quite big. It's not going to be double bed size, but it's certainly bigger than a single bed size. And yes, so this is section A. So I finished section A, and I think a little bit of it is repeated in the middle, and then section A is repeated again at the end. So I've done the hard part by putting into practice what I learned with Gail. I'd never done granny squares before. I'd never done granny stripes. So I sat down in front of YouTube, learned that myself, and then I did a lesson with Gail then to learn about how to carry the yarn. So you can see a little bit, I think, here in the blue, you can see a little bit of the red where it carries through. But the stranded technique, it's color work for crochet, and I can do color work in knitting, so I kind of learned color work for crochet, so I'm really pleased. But I said I'm not going to go into too much more detail because there's a whole nother project vlog coming for that. But my plan, this is a Christmas gift. It's probably the only thing I'm planning on knitting this Christmas, but I always say that and then get to December and I'm like, oh my God, I need to knit more. But this is the only thing I'm planning on knitting, crocheting, gifting. This is the only thing I'm gifting this Christmas. So I thought if I can start it now, and then I can do a little bit every month, and then it will be done in plenty of time in December, and I'm not going to have a crazy December, because if I don't finish it for Christmas, I probably won't finish it. So I'm doing well with that. And then the next section, so you can see I finished this. The next section is a floral section. Then we've got a big section of just 2 colors in granny stripes. So I've done the flowers. I've started the flowers, sorry. I need 13 to go across the blanket. And here's one of them. This is the popcorn stitch, which again is a new to me stitch. I had to learn how to do that. I'm kind of doing this in a production line. So rather than making 13 squares at the same time, I did 13 middles, and now I'm going to do 13 edges. So I've just done my 7th of this, I think, and then I'll do 13 of the next bit. So I'm kind of doing it in a bit of a production line. So I'm going to continue to work on that through September. This is living in this project bag. Oh, look, it's a little grey girl bag. There's definitely a theme. And I'm not sponsored by Gemma. Absolutely not. Oh, if only. I just love the quality of the bags. I love the colour range. I'll stop talking about them now. You get the point. But it's living in this, and I thought this was really appropriate because the blanket is so bright and colourful, and this is a rainbow dotted bag. So I thought it was such a great bag, but this project is so big, the wool doesn't all fit in this. So I dug this out, which I thought I would just show you quickly. It's an old knitting bag that the rest of the wool lives in. But this was my nan's knitting bag. So I've kind of got fond memories. When she moved out of her house and moved into a care home, and when we were clearing down the house, she gave me all of her knitting stuff. So I've got her and my grandfather's needles. If you are new to the channel and you haven't watched any of my other videos, if you go back to my introduction video, I kind of talk about one of the reasons I wanted to learn to knit, and my grandparents feature in that. So I dug out Nanny's knitting bag because I thought I need an extra bag, and it's in the cupboard. So I've got Nanny's knitting bag, and yeah, I just have fond memories of sitting there as a child, staying at their house. They would be knitting. She'd keep her projects in here. She'd have the bag open, the wool would. She'd have massive balls of wool doing jumpers and things. And yeah, so I thought that was nice. I thought I'd show you that. Nanny's bag. So that's another project that I'm going to continue for September. So 3 main projects, I think. There's going to be my Boho blanket, my Rory cardigan, and my Herbivore shawl. I really hope to get the Rory cardigan finished. That's all I'm committing to. Other things I will want to cast on though, and I talked about a couple of things last month and I haven't really cast them on. So I'm just flicking back through my book. If you can hear the pages rustling. I said I was going to cast on Morag, the toft giant animal head that's going to live on the wall and be mounted. I didn't cast Morag on. I got everything out. As I said, she's living in a box at the moment in the spare bedroom. I got Morag out and then realised I didn't have an 8mm crochet hook because I'd lent it to someone and I needed to get it back. So I was planning on casting her on. Casting her on? Hooking her on? Chaining her on? Chaining her on? I don't know what you talk about crochet. Starting it anyway, but I didn't do it. And then I started the Boho blanket and she's just still living in a box. But I do think she's going to be a quick project, and I do think she's going to be a good break from the Boho blanket and from the Rory cardigan. So I am going to start Morag this month, definitely. The other thing then that I did say I was going to start, I said I was going to start an Argyle jumper for Mark. Haven't started that, didn't have the time. The weather was too hot. I had a bad finger, which we'll come on to again. And yeah, I didn't start it and I'm not going to start it. He's actually sitting on the sofa, being very quiet. It's really odd recording while there's people in the room. We live in a flat, one big room. So I'm not going to start it in September because I'm going to start a different jumper. So I've shown in, I think it was in the June roundup video, that I was going to be making the For Fox's Sake sweater, steady, which I'll pop a picture on screen. This is a jumper for our very good friend's birthday in November. So actually the fact that I didn't start the Argyle jumper is okay, because I probably would have started it and then thought, oh, it's September, her birthday's in November, I probably need to start that. So I'm going to try that. And again, similar to the Boho blanket, I'm going to do it and then try and do a little bit every month. I've got all of September, all of October, and most of November, because her birthday's not until the very end of the month. So I've kind of got 3 months, but it's a really, as you saw, lovely coloured yoke, which will take some time. And then the rest of the body and the sleeves are just plain knitting. But I'd like to take my time on the colour work section. So I'm going to try and get that started in September. So they're going to be my main works in progress. So Boho blanket, Rory cardigan, Herbivore shawl, Morag, and the For Fox's Sake jumper. And if I get to work on all 5 of those during September, it will be a great month. We are going away for a week next week to a cottage just outside Newbury with my brother, sister-in-law, and niece number 2, who wore the unbearable hoodie. So I'm going to have a couple of projects. We're going to do a couple of day trips out in Berkshire, bit of shopping, but mainly just chilling out. So I've got a couple of projects. I'm going to take the blanket. I'm going to take Rory with me. So I've got a knitting and a crochet, and just see how I get on. So hopefully I'll make some good progress with those while I'm away. And then when I come back, probably Morag and the For Fox's Sake jumper. That's what I'm going to start. So that's kind of it for finished objects, works in progress. I'm just having a look down, checking my book, make sure I hadn't missed anything off. very, very short stash top-up section this month because I haven't bought any wool. I don't know if that's an outraged face or a polish the halo that I didn't buy any wool. So I don't really have anything new to show you, except I was gifted something. So I haven't bought this, so it's perfectly fine to come into the house. A lovely friend of mine, Marie Lancaster on Twitter, someone that I just met purely on Twitter. I don't think we've ever met in real life. We speak very regularly, but I personally love social media for that you can find people and you can connect with people with very similar hobbies. Marie goes to Ammonite Yarn. She's been to some of the knit clubs. She went, I wasn't there, so we missed each other as a whole thing, but we've been chatting for a few years, and Marie got in touch and asked me if I wanted a Star Wars crochet set, because Marie had ordered one. They sent her two and told her not to send one back. So Marie very kindly gifted this to me. So there's the wool in here to make a Stormtrooper and a Yoda. And then I've actually got the pattern book to make the rest of the characters in the series. So there's Jabba the Hutt, there's a little Ewok, we've got Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader. So I might take this to the cottage with me as well, because 2 little projects to whip up. It'll be something to do while I'm sitting at the barbecue, drinking a beer. But that was really, really lovely. And I've said thank you to Marie. It's such a lovely gift and means I get to top up my stash without actually topping up my stash. So it's a win-win. So I'm really looking forward to getting that. I love a bit of Star Wars. And as I said earlier, with the Herbivore shawl, very Millennium Falcon shaped. So this isn't a Star Wars themed episode, and this absolutely isn't a Star Wars podcast, but you know, there's a theme for a couple of the items. So that's my stash top up. And that's probably it. I think we're maybe up to about half an hour now, and that's probably all I'm going to talk about for this month. I did mention my bad finger, as well as the bad weather. The bad weather? See, I hate the sun. I'm definitely an autumn winter person. The bad weather, the hot weather, that stopped me crafting because it was just too warm. I have had a bit of a sore finger. I'm left-handed, and this is a weird one. So I'm left-handed, and I knit right-handed, so I throw the yarn. And I also crochet right-handed because I tried to teach myself these things, didn't realise that being a left-handed person, I could use my left hand. But what it does mean is when I'm holding my needles, I hold my needle with my left hand and my finger, and then I throw with my right. But I don't know, I've done something to my finger. And it's a little bit sore, and some days it's a little bit swollen. At one point, at the beginning of the month, I was working on my socks, which were little DPNs. I had my Rory jumper, which was on a cable, a circular needle. I had my Boho blanket, which I was holding the yarn over my finger. And I had my Herbivore, which was a small 3.5mm needle. So I don't know, like logic would say, I'm working on a couple of projects. They're all different sizes and different styles. Therefore, I shouldn't have like a repetitive injury because they're all different. But I don't know if it only started when I was working on all of them. And I don't know whether it just means actually one of them wasn't. It's probably the socks because I've got really big hands and tiny, tiny little 2.25mm needles. But long story short, I've had a bad finger. So there have been a couple of nights that I could have knit or crochet and I actually didn't do anything because I kind of gave myself a rest because of course I've got a lot of wool in the flat and I got a lot of wool that I need to use, and if I turn around to Mark and say I've got a sporting injury and I now can't do any knitting, what am I going to do with all my wool? So I've tried to be sensible. I've tried to give it a bit of a break, but it is feeling a little bit better. We'll blame the socks. Let's blame the socks. So I'm not going to knit any more socks. I might do, but we'll see how we go. So me and my bad finger are having a bit of a break. We're trying not to do too much in too short a time. Trying not to do too much sitting at the same time. So I'm trying to have regular breaks from doing it. But I don't know if actually anyone watching this podcast, video, vlog, has any experience of something similar. I don't know, you know, I know there's a couple of people that follow me and watch the videos that are much more prolific knitters and crafters than me. So perhaps, I don't know, let me know. Any tips for knitter's finger? Although, as I said, it's on my left hand, not my right hand. My right hand, my throwing hand is fine, but there we go. Let's see. So I'm going to leave you on that note with my knitter's finger. Thank you very much for giving me a little bit of your time. I'm hoping that there will be some more project videos as I'm going. So I've got one on the go with the Boho. There's another one that is stalled because of lockdown. I haven't been to Ammonite to cut my yarn, but the shop is opening again from next week, back to normal hours, and hoping that Knit Group starts again in a few weeks' time, maybe towards the end of September. So when that happens, I can go back and see the lovely Jenny and cut my knitting. So there's definitely a project vlog to follow for that one. And there's a few others that are sort of kicking around in the background. So we might have an interim vlog during September. If not, I will be back the end of the month, first week of October, to share what I've been up to with my crafting throughout the month. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for sticking with me. I said, please chat with me below, leave me some comments. I know I'm not the greatest at getting back to people. It does take a couple of weeks. I forget they're there because this is all new. Instagram and Twitter, I'm there like a shot, but I'm going to try and be better on my my YouTube comments. So please leave me a comment. Please get in touch. Let me know what you're working on. If you've liked this, what I've been talking about today, it is 6:10. If you like what I've talked about and you don't subscribe, please feel free to click the subscribe button, click the little bell, you'll get a message when my videos pop up. Give the video a thumbs up or a like. I understand the YouTube algorithm. If you like my video, it will recommend similar videos for you, but it's also good for me to help me find new people by you all liking that button. So yeah, thank you very much for spending time with me, and until we speak next time, happy crafting.